right, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Jackson Hole. That's right. How's everyone doing? Happy Thursday. It's pretty cool. My lights are not on. Jackson Hole. What a name. It's Jackson's Hole. Whose name is Jackson here? Alrighty. Welcome back, guys. Happy Thursday. Yesterday, beautiful day. Incredible. Trades we talked about in this live stream were perfection. IWM, Hood, Palantir. I mean, everything across the board. The game plan was great. The thesis was correct on a lot of individual names. The levels that broke created the movement that we expected. So just hope you guys were able to catch some stuff yesterday. If you came in with the plan that we came in with yesterday and you still had some problems, then, it's just a matter of execution, right? That's really it. Maybe you just still need a little bit more patience, a little bit more, or a little bit more experience executing in fast-paced environments because, yesterday was definitely a fast-paced, trusting, no hesitation type of trade. You couldn't really hesitate yesterday morning. You had to sort of accept and trust the upside rejections that you were seeing. You had to trust the breakdowns that you were seeing. You couldn't really stick around and say, oh, I don't know, right? Because by that point, it was gone. So, that's just something to realize about a day like yesterday. If you missed out on a lot of things, it's probably a little bit of a lack of hesitation or it is hesitation, lack of trusting. Because, yeah, you definitely had to act quick on a few stuff and a few names yesterday to really catch the move. But the great thing about yesterday was we got some early morning pops on some equities into rejection points and then faded that level, which is what we love to see, the pop and fade in the downside markets. But today, guess what? This is no different than another daily 20 SMA demand hold, man. I'm looking at this daily chart over here, right? You check out that SPY chart on that top left over there, right? That is no different than another daily 20 SMA hold. No different. So, that is not fully a bearish thing. That is not, stepping into today with some kind of bearish bias. If anything, I'm actually interested on upside on a few of the names that we were looking for downside yesterday. So, going to point those out today in the live stream, get you guys prepared. You were out on the golf course? Oof, that sounds nice, golf. Yeah, unfortunately right now in Florida, man, it is just absolutely brutal outside. It sucks. I mean, unless you get out there, the first tee time, right around 7:10, you are going to be toasted all around. So that's the thing that sucks about Florida right now. And maybe in the future, a little bit of a up north vacation home. That's the goal of mine right there. Set some goals for yourself, right? Maybe Seagirt. I like that area. Seagirt, Belmar, up in Jersey, by the water for the summers. It's beautiful. All right, let's get started. Press that like button, subscribe to the channel. Here we go. Let's drag everything over here. And we are ready to go. All right, so today, just good old Jackson Hole. For our data, let's go ahead and pull up the economic data for today. Let's do that real quick. Economic calendar. There we go. So you guys can see right here. Today, unemployment claims 830, so we'll be on the lookout for that to start the day. Then we have manufacturing PMI, services PMI 945, so we'll be aware of that. And then we have the Jackson Hole Symposium. Sorry about that. Symposium. The Jackson Hole Symposium today. Can you believe it? That's groundbreaking stuff. Fed Powell speaking at 10 o'clock tomorrow at the Jackson Hole Symposium. Should we put a t-shirt? I think I'm going to make a t-shirt that says Jackson Hole Symposium on it. Would you wear that? That would be a good shirt. And because I know that if I saw someone in public wearing that shirt, I would be like, this guy's awesome. Right? I'd be like, okay, I know exactly why that guy has that shirt on. It's like only certain people know what the Jackson Hole Symposium is. That would be a funny shirt, I feel like. All right. So with that said, that's really it for today. 8:30. Let's see what happens on unemployment claims. 9:45. We got a little bit of data, so we'll watch that, and then the Jackson Hole Symposium. And so we're just going to trade the levels as we typically do. Nothing really changes in that regard, so let's just jump right into it. Jackson Hole Symposium. That might be my new favorite word. All right, anyways, NASDAQ futures. So yesterday, we failed below the 23,400 pretty much right off the open and got just pretty much tanked, man. I mean, tanked off the open, which was pretty shocking. But we broke under our 23,400 level, and once we did that, it was pretty much game time on some individual equities. You failed right here under 23,400, which was this low, this high, this low, and you failed right under it with a lot of strength. And a lot of downside. So really quick downside move there yesterday on NQ, straight to the downside into our key demand at 23,000, 20, 30 area, and the daily 50. So this was a level we had on our charts yesterday, and that was the exact low day that came in on the NASDAQ futures. We reclaimed this 23,200, 23,150 level, and that is going to be a very, very, very important level today, and I'll tell you why. This zone right here is going to be massively important, and the reason it is because you do not want to see, if you're bullish today, you do not want to see the market, in my opinion, make equal lows or even potentially lower lows. If that happens, then we are on a lower low, lower high, downtrending move, and that is going to start, right? Potentially giving us more downside. So we can see right here, we are still below yesterday's high, right? We have not reclaimed yesterday's high. We are still remaining below yesterday's high at 23,400 to 23,450, which is still a very clear rejection spot to be careful of. And you can see this morning, we're starting to honestly curl off that level to the downside. And that's sort of concerning. However, that is still not breaking this very important zone that I just talked about at 23,200 to 23,150. See where these reclaims came in yesterday? Right here. See this? See where you held back above there? This is going to be massively important. Do you come back down and create a higher low today, right? And then break out of these highs? If that's the case, this could be potentially bullish, right? Because you created a higher low, and if that higher low influences us through these highs, right? That is a very good bullish move for the market. Now, if this low does not hold today, and you break back under it after making this high again, then you are potentially looking at lower lows and lower highs, and that's a concern, right? So very, very important day today. For the markets. Do we see lower highs, lower lows? Do we see consolidation? Or do we see the market try to build back higher and break out of this 400 to 450 zone? We shall see. Right now, if I could tell you right now, you're rejecting these previous hold levels, right? Take a look at this. This is no joke of a level. You have major previous lows, major highs, major lows, and look at these highs, all right? Very, very major. So, all in that zone, right? All in that zone. All this right here still being a failure spot, which is very important. Okay? Give me back my glory hole. Jesus, Mo. I can't say that. Oh, God. Thanks, Mo. Appreciate it, brother. QQQ. Don't look that word up, kids. Don't look it up. If you don't know what it is, don't look it up. 567 to 569. Right here. You guys can see in the QQQ. Previous lows. Previous highs. Previous highs here. Previous lows right here. And look at that rejection right there at 567. Right? That is a very, very important spot. And you can see we are failing that level. Right? We are failing that level. Right here. See this? See this? See this right here? See this right here? And you see this right here. Right? You are failing the previous support levels. And you're starting to curl back over, which is not looking that good. So that is still very weak. And you are still trading, right, below the daily 20. That is an anchorman moment. Whatever you put on the teleprompter, I'm reading, right? So the daily 20 SMA, right, and the 567 spot, this is still a very, very valid supply and a very possible failure point on the market, which you can see is starting to happen. Now, like we just said, what's the most important spot of the day? In my opinion, that's right here, 562 to 563. Can this area here that we reclaimed hold tight today as a higher low? That's the question mark. If it does not, right? If it does not and you fail back under it, then you are going to come back to these lows. And if you come back to these lows, then you have a very possible chance of breaking these lows. And if you break to new lows, that is a lower high and a lower low, and that's still bearish. That is the start of an actual downside continuation move. It's not just a sort of 2-day drop down, V-shape back up. If we continuously make lower lows and lower highs, you're starting to pick up momentum to actually see a downtrend form. So that's very important to pay attention to today. To be long, I mean, to be honest, guys, I don't see a long if you're under this 569. It just doesn't really make sense to me. I think you'd want to see a break over yesterday's rejection point, right? The only longs would be sort of spark, a demand attempts off these lows here, right? But it would be a very short-lived type of idea, in my opinion. It's sort of against, market trend. So if you want to look longs, right, you can look to scalp longs up demand lows, but if you zoom out, it's structuring lower. So just be aware of that. S&P 500 futures, same reads, same ideas here. You guys can see here on the ES, the major supply above is between, in my opinion, the 6440 and 6460 zone right here. So you can see major rejections, previous major holds all right here. And you can see we are now failing below that zone. So as long, to be honest, as long as you're under 6460, guys, there is not much to be very bullish about. That is a fail back under the previous all-time highs, and that is a previous attempt of a hold above it, creating a failure move, right? And so, to be honest, if you're under 6460, there is, you have to understand that you are now trading back under a previous all-time high level, which could get hard to break back above. So we just have to understand that moving forward. The key demand down here, guys, is 6360, 6375 right here. You can see if I zoom out, there's more spots here as well. I got to get a little bit more time. So if we look at this, right, take a look at this on the ES. We have previous rejections here. We have previous holds right here. Previous rejections here. Previous rejections here. Previous holds. Previous holds. And look at yesterday's lows, right in the same spot. So this, to me, has to hold. If you break yesterday's lows at 63.62, 63.60, I really don't see much until maybe this 63.20 spot, right? Right in here, 63.20 to 63.10. That would really be the next target for me, right? Maybe there's some, lows here at the 63.34, but I mean, a lot of these areas come in right here, right? High, 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 low, low, high, low. That would be sort of my target right there. Near that daily 50. If you break this low at 60, you might have a nice downside move here towards 63.20. So still very interesting there for downside if you break yesterday's lows. I really don't like trading within this zone, right? Inside of yesterday's range. I'm not a fan of it right in here. I'm not a fan of you getting good price action between like 63.60 and 64.40, 64.60 area, right? You can see what happened in this area before. See this, and see this, right? So sideways, sideways, potentially sideways. So I'd like to see us break outside of this range, yesterday's lows, and possibly the 64.60 highs. For now, this continues to stay weak. You're now failing back under the daily 20, but you do have to watch out for these lows from yesterday at 63.75, 63.62. You can very clearly see that right now. Okay? And the Qs are fading down into that major, major spot that we're going to have to see if it holds. SPY. 4-hour chart SPY. Right here. CPI highs. 640. You can see 640 CPI highs here, here. This was the CPI high right there. You can see yesterday failing below the CPI highs at 640. So we're now failing under 640 and the CPI highs. This is also very clearly failing the previous all-time high, 642, that was trying to hold tight here. Look, failure that gave up strength. You can see how people were trying to get this to hold above this previous all-time high. Once it failed, it's now losing momentum, right? So very, very telling there. Now, the low that I'm going to be watching today, a few of these lows that I'll be watching today, number one is 635, which is this low here from this Tuesday on CPI, which is right here at 635. Under 635, you're going to trade back to yesterday's lows at 633. It's anywhere between 632 and 633 that I think you could find some hold, but if you break that 633 with strength, I don't know if that 632 will hold, but I think your target here is going to be 630. Right? 630, 627. That would be the area that I'd look for this to come back down to. If we zoom out and get a little bit more time, we can see right here, I think this 630 right here is a likely target on downside. That would match your ES 63 right here, your 63.20. That would match that. That's these lows here, these previous highs. That would match the SPY 630, which is right there. And it's this low right here. That's if you break back under, in my opinion, the 632. 632, 633. I'm going to watch that little dollar zone there on the SPY. All about whether we break under PDL today, guys. You don't want to be short right into PDL today. You could have a double bottom low, right? And have that hold again. We want to see if you start breaking PDLs. If you break 633, 632, I think you're coming to 630, which would be a really clean break of this low of yesterday, right, on the ES, bringing you down into 63.20, which would be the same thing as, it'd be a little bit of discrepancy on the NASDAQ, but NASDAQ 23,020, or 23,030, 23,000 is definitely going to be a level to watch for potential bounces as well. We got to be careful there. Okay? Underneath this 23,000, though, it's a pretty nice fade into 22.8. All right, look at this. Underneath 23,000 right here, it's a very nice fade right here to 23.8, 23.780, right in here. So that is very nice as well. Okay? All right, so pretty clear game plans there on the S&Ps, on the NASDAQs. Let's go to the IWM, which was our spot-on call from yesterday. If you go back to our yesterday trade, our yesterday live stream, I'll actually just, here we go. So once again, previous highs right here. Let's see how we did this. Tried to hold. it turned it into rejections.
Nice.
If it fails today and you see price action failing here, I believe that would influence a move lower to this high right here and the daily 20 at 223. So that was our game plan yesterday, right? You have a previous hold, you have a previous hold, and you're turning it into rejections. Failure. What did we do yesterday? Failed right off that level. Little pop, little fade, bam, straight down towards our 223 target. Perfect. Perfect. Now, today, it looks like you're still going there, right? Previous major lows, turning into rejections. Very nice. And you're still failing down towards our target at 223. That's the 223 and daily 20 SMA. If you fail under that, then I think you could see further downside today, to be honest. So 223 in the daily 20, I think is a must hold here. You fail that, you're probably coming down to like these lows over here, 220s, right? 220s in the daily 50. That would be my target on if we break that low right in here. 220s, daily 50. If you break under the 223, you're probably coming down to the 220. So perfect call there on the IWM yesterday, and that was my biggest trade of the day. Straight from the live stream. Just got to wake up. That's all you got to do. Wake up and pay attention. That's all you got to do. Let's go to the Bitcoin. Bitcoin right here, you guys can see it's still pretty weak into this $112,000 level. If you fail under 112,000, I think you could see some more slippage on Bitcoin. So that is going to be a big watch for me today. All right. Let's jump into some equities, or let's go to the SMH. So SMH, very, very important day here on the SMH. The SMH, once again, did hold our major demand lows. So if you guys remember from the last time we were down here, this created an awesome long opportunity into the highs. That was at 283. 283 to 280, right in here. Look what happened yesterday. You came down into this zone, you popped out of it. Now, the question is, are you making lower highs? Here, here, and here. You now have a clear supply zone between 292, 293 and the daily 20 SMA. And if you can't reclaim that level, this to me is creating lower highs to the downside. High, lower high, lower high. If you cannot reclaim this daily 20 and hold above it, right, then you are probably coming down to retest this low again. So, something to watch. Something to watch. I'm going to stop here and make sure we press the like button. If you guys could, please take a second, press the like button. Yesterday we called out 2 100% trades. All you had to do was wake up and press the like button. It'd be great if you could just take a second and do that. What are we at? All right. Yeah, let's try to get 1,500 likes. That's the goal, 1,500. So, Tesla. Tesla off 323 yesterday on the downside was a thing of pure beauty. It's absolutely ridiculous how clean that was. I can't believe I missed this. I was trading, UNH and Hood at this point, but this was probably the sickest and cleanest. Who caught this yesterday? This was our 323 and our daily 20 SMA level. We did a perfect, and I mean perfect. This is, guys, if you want to screenshot a perfect trade entry, screenshot this right here. This is about as perfect as what I look for. If there's one textbook definition of exactly what I look for, that is this right here. We have a major inflection point that we break below, that we trade slightly higher back into, right? Sort of have a little creep back higher into. We start to focus on where the failures come in at the key rejection point on a retest rejection. We break the bear flag, right? Right here. And it provides an insane downside continuation move. I mean, this is the textbook trade. So, incredible. Congratulations to those who caught that. You could not have taken a better trade. So today, I'm going to look to see if that happens again. And you can see right now as we speak, you are potentially failing that 323 level again. So we'll see if that happens. But 323 to around 320 is a demand zone that I would be cautious of today on Tesla. There's definitely some potential holds within that zone. If you break back under this 320 low, then I think you absolutely see further downside once again towards possibly that 312. You guys can see right here that we are turning previous lows right here, right here, right here into rejections. And you are now failing below the daily 200 SMA. So that is a little bit concerning for Tesla. Nvidia, you have to hold 174, 175. You have to. If you don't, you're coming back down. This is a must-hold level in my opinion. If we go to the 4-hour chart, I need to see these previous highs here and these lows here turn back into support. They tried to turn back into support yesterday, and it sort of held back higher, but you're just not getting as much as you want quite yet. I think you need to hold this zone. If you fail back under 174 today, you are going to potentially see lower levels once again. So right here at 174, right here at 174, I think you need to hold above that. Failing under 174 likely gives you the downside, possibly back down to this 171, 170 zone again, right? So watching that very closely. Nice demand hold at the 169 spot, which was these lows, right? Very nice hold there. But I think you want to see this higher low form here, or, more downside towards those demand lows again. AMD, very important level today, and honestly, if it can break, I like the upside. But right now, it's not showing that. But I'll show you why this is an interesting upside trade. It's interesting to both directions. So right here, you have a very clear 167, right? You have 167. Hold on one second. So right here, you have 167. Right here, right here, right? And a previous rejection. Now you can see AMD is failing right at that 167 level this morning. If AMD and the SMH and the market as a whole can find strength today and hold above 167, I think this is a great long back into 174 and to make back this straight up move or straight down move. Now the question is, do you actually see that start to occur, and does the market find strength? Right now, I can't say that I'm seeing that. If you fail this could also be a great entry for the downside, right? For another fail at 167 back to 162. So watching this 167 zone very, very closely today, I like that watching a lot. The other one I like a lot is right here. This looks very similar to our trades we took yesterday. Take a look at OKLO. OKLO, previous major highs, major previous lows. Look at what it's doing right now, my friends. Look at that. If OKLO fails 69.70 today, you're going to fail right back lower to 60. If this is a now lower high where these previous lows were, this is a very interesting watch today. If the market shows weakness, I am watching for fails of 69.70 on OKLO. That is very, very interesting on that one as well. Before we go any further, let's see what the data does in 30 seconds. So let's pull up our S&P 500 chart and let's see what the reaction is live here on the stream. If you guys could, please press that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Tiger Woods clips. Appreciate the support, Tiger Woods clips. All right. Let's see. Okay, so it looks like market is maintaining itself. Hamish. All right, so for now, just to maintain. Not really much. SPY. Don't have the data yet. There it is. Manufacturing index, negative 0.3 versus 6.8. Jeez, that's a crazy number. That's a crazy difference there. Jobless claims, 235 versus 226. 972 versus 960. Okay. I mean, all I care about is what the market reacts. And the market is reacting pretty much neutral. Nothing for now. All right. So let's keep going. Next thing that I'm watching today is a little bit of Googie, and I'll show you why I'm watching Googie. This is a very interesting failure on Googie if we fail under this major low right here. See these major lows, or I'm sorry, these major highs? Major highs here, 198.60. This little 198.50. I'll probably bring this down to 198.50 to match it with the daily 20. So down at 198.50, in my opinion, is a must hold on Google. If Google fails under these highs, this high, this high, this high, this high, this low, if Google fails the daily 20 and fails these highs, and you see something like this, you are moving lower, no doubt. I'd say you move lower down to this 195, 194 zone. And if you break that, you're going down lower to possibly this 190 spot. This right here, you do not want to see Google fail back under these triple top highs. That would be a failure move back under triple top highs. That would influence downside. So watching that daily 20 SMA on Google very, very closely today. Seeing what happens there. That's going to be very interesting. Amazon. Yesterday, we said that the failed break and retest is potentially the most bearish thing to look for, and that is exactly what Amazon did, right? We said Amazon needed to hold this 225, 226. Look at the failure under it. Look at the downside continuation that came in. Not much of a trade today for me into this 220. I'm just going to be watching this zone between 220, 225. Let's go to Palantir. So Palantir is fading a little bit once again. I would prefer to fade 162. That's really where I'd like to see it fade, at 162. But it's sort of fading before it even gets there. I think you need to hold this 155 spot. 155 right here is a major hold. If you fail that, I think you'll trade right back down to that daily 50, possibly back down to that 151. So if I zoom out here and I go to Palantir, on the 4-hour chart, the hold level yesterday was good, right? This was a major previous high that did hold around 145. That's good. You reclaim this 151 level that we were watching, and you held back above it to hold the day, right? So now, I'm going to have to see, to be honest, I sort of like this, right? I sort of like this. I sort of like staying out of a Palantir trade until it fails back under 151. Or fails at 162, right? I think you stay away from this zone here on Palantir, honestly. I'd say 151 to 162 would be sort of that area that a lot of, question marks could come in. Right here. Yeah, I like that. So if you fail back under 151, I'd be game for more downside. If you move back up into 162, I'd be cautious of potential failures there. Or if you get over 162, that's the best long opportunity. Just so you know. Over 162 would be the best long opportunity into 169. You see this, and you see this. If the market somehow finds some juice today, that would be a very interesting comeback. But we'll have to see what happens there. Hood, not so much a trade anymore for me. It was a great fade off 108. This was the exact fade that we talked about. And underneath 108, it's still weak, but you definitely saw some strong demand step up at 101, 102. So this zone is just not a trade for me. If we go here, let's run it. Today. Hood. This is very interesting today. This might be one of my top watches. Look at these major highs. Look at these major highs. Look at these lows right here. Smackdown potential 108. That's 108 and the daily 20. If you see failures here, you're trading to 102. Okay, so what did we do yesterday? We failed 108, we went to 102. Perfect. That was great. Today, Unfortunately, you're sort of in the middle of the range. All right, so I don't really like that now. I'm going to have to get hood to one of those levels. Apple, definitely an interesting watch today. Under 224.76, which it is holding for now, so really not there yet. But if Apple can fail under this 4-hour low here at 224.76, there is nothing holding it up here until 221. So that is an interesting watch for me as well on Apple. Under 224.76, you go to 221. That's going to be an interesting watch for me here today if we do break that. Okay? All right. I think the only other thing that I'm watching today is possibly, Netflix. You could say that this is a outperformance through all of the downside we got over the last few days. Netflix is still holding 1,200, which is pretty wild. So that's sort of interesting. The only other thing that I'll be watching today is Coinbase and seeing what the crypto names do, because Coinbase underneath 293 here is a pretty treacherous downside move. It might be 290, but I'm going to be watching sort of this low here. The low of this candle is 293.31. If you break this 293 area, I don't really see much holding Coinbase up until this 100 SMA at 277. So that's sort of an alert that I have set. And MSTR looks pretty treacherous here as well. MSTR underneath this little 345, 350 zone really does not look like it has much until 320. You can see it's failing right under these major lows here and major highs. So that is going to depend on what Bitcoin does today. If Bitcoin is weak, Coinbase MSTR could be very nice fades. Hood as well could be a fade as well. Just so you know, if Hood can get under this 100, 101, 102 zone, you probably see that 85, right? You probably get more downside, but it needs to break below that first. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. You guys can see right here where the NASDAQ has pulled back to our key higher low level and is actually starting to find some support. So what did we say in the beginning of the live stream? This level, if this holds and makes a higher low, you can't really short into that. So you need to make sure you pay attention to that today. Very big spot. That's about it. If you guys want to trade live with me, check out the link down below that says trade live with me. If you want to get my levels on a daily basis, there's something down there that says get my levels. If you want to check out the Insiders Mentorship Group, we're currently running the applications right now as we speak, so you can check it out down below, put your name on the wait list, and possibly get an email for an application. Okay? That's going to be it. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. If you could, please press that like button. Let's see if some of our game plans work out again today. Yesterday was beautiful. Let's do it again today. Hope you have a fantastic trading day, and I will see you tomorrow. Peace and love.